Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chatting with CJ, episode 9. Thank you again for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe. We're on YouTube as well as on Instagram right now. We thank you. And without further ado, how are you doing, CJ?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Absolutely.
I hope your holidays were peaceful and enjoyable, and that your New Year was peaceful, enjoyable, and rewarding to you.
Excellent. So, without further ado, what would you like to talk about this episode?
I want to talk about a life lesson that happened to me. I got my driver's license when I was 16 years old. So it's like I've been driving myself and going places ever since I was 16. Well, now I don't drive anymore because I've chosen not to. It's just so hectic and so, to me, dangerous because of the way people are driving. So I haven't been driving, and I've been mainly getting around because my son Jamal and my daughter Tanya have been taking me to places that I need to go. And I ran into a really incident that when you are used to taking yourself and doing for yourself, and then when you involve other people in your life where they are now taking you, and it's no longer your show, but the show belongs to somebody else. Well, I encountered a really sad situation for me because I wanted to go to the bookstore. I like to go to the bookstore, and when I go to the bookstore, sometimes I know what I'm going to get, but most of the time I don't, and I'm browsing through the bookstore. So last week, I asked Jamal to take me to the bookstore. Prior to him taking me to the bookstore, I had called and I spoke with one of the ladies who worked at Barnes & Noble, and I told her the books that I had been reading and what I would like to read, but I wasn't sure of any particular book that I wanted her to look for. So she asked me for a few questions, and she pulled a couple books for me to browse to see if I liked them. So she put them so that when I got in the store, all I had to do was tell them that the books were behind the counter. So when I asked Jamal to take me to the bookstore, I never said that I was going to be looking for a book. I said that, there were some books behind the counter that I was going to be looking at. Well, when I got to the bookstore, and it was in my mind that we had free time, so I could browse. I had 2 books that were behind the counter for me to look at to see if I was interested in the books, and I wanted a third book. So Jamal came in, and I thought that was the first problem. I thought, and I never discussed with Jamal what my thought was that I could do. I thought that I had time, I could just browse and look for another third book if I decided to get the 2 books that were behind the counter for me. So I started looking for the third book, and I never really looked into the 2 books that I had. Well, time passed, and when I left Jamal, he was sitting in the chair and he was reading a book, and I just assumed that I had plenty of time. Well, my assumption was not correct. and it was not a good feeling or a good experience, because an hour passed and I didn't know I had been in there for an hour, and Jamal had been looking at this book, and we were like in two different places, and he said that he had been he had fallen asleep, and that the employees were like had been walking around. So I believe Jamal was upset with me because I was taking too long, and I did say that there were two books that they were holding for me. So I never discussed the fact that I was going to be looking around the store for more books. I just went on and assumed that I could do that. But the life lesson for me was that I'm no longer the one that's controlling the driving and where I go and what I do. I'm now asking somebody else for help. So I need to be more conscious and aware of discussing what the show is going to be like. If I need time to look around, then I really need to say, oh, I need time to browse the books in the store. It's difficult for me when I'm not sure of what book I want to get, and the books that I've already read.
So let's back it up, Mom. Let's talk about that. So because we want to provide the listeners and viewers with a perspective,
right.
And then we can, because we both agreed to improve on our communication going forward. So before even the bookstore thing happened, we went to the grocery store. Remember?
Right.
So prior to us leaving to go to the grocery store, the Whole Foods, throughout the day, it was just known that we were going to go to Whole Foods. We had dedicated time to go to Whole Foods. You had written a list out, and we were going to, I wasn't going to, because I understand now how you shop for your groceries. It's not an in and out. You developed a list. We stuck to the list. So prior to us leaving to even go to Whole Foods, what ended up happening is right before leaving, you said this to me. You said, can we stop by the bookstore? They have 2 books on reserve for me, and I want to go pick them up. So when I heard that, I said, okay. In my mind, I likened it to say, okay, I've researched 2 books. I like 2 books. They have 2 books. Because I picked something up on reservation from Barnes & Noble's 2 months ago. And they held it. I went in there, picked it up, and I left. So I was thinking, okay, she's reserved the book. She knows what we want. It's going to be an in and out. So at first, remember, we were talking about, should we go to Barnes & Noble's first or go to Whole Foods first? But I said, we're closer to Whole Foods, so let's go to Whole Foods first, because it is, in my mind, I'm thinking we can spend some time at Whole Foods, and then we'll go ahead and after that, it'll be a quick in and out at Barnes & Noble's.
Let me just say, please bear with us, because
people were listening.
This right here is really important.
No, it is, and they're listening, Mom. You don't break the train of thought. They're listening. Everybody's listening. So and what the flow is that you took some time. We got everything we needed at Whole Foods. Okay, then we went up to Barnes & Noble's. So at this time I'm tired. I'm not the most energetic person of the day, but I said we can dedicate time. And I know my mother likes to read the summary of books, just to know and see if it's something she wants. So my idea was that you knew those books that you were going to get, and that you had reserved them because you had looked at something about them and you liked them. So going up there, it's place. They have places to sit. So I got my book, dropped you off at the front. Then you walked in, you got the books, and you sat down. You held a seat for me. I sat down. I got a book, sat down, and then you went and you were looking through the books, and you said, "I want to get a third book." That's what you said when you were in there. I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay." So anyway, I'm sitting down there. I'm reading the book, and then I start to read the same thing over and over because I'm tired. And I was falling asleep in there. Then I began to notice that the employees kept on walking by, and I'm tired. And I said, "It was light outside when we got in here." I said, "It's getting dark." And now I can hear you. A lot of maybe the listeners don't know, but you utilize a cane at this point, and that the cane, I could hear you while you were walking. I said, "Oh, something's not right here." So I get up and I said, "We've been here over an hour." And then I come up to you, and then I came up to you in not the most pleasant manner. It wasn't a pleasant, because I was under just a whole different flow, that you had 2 books and that you were picking up a third one, when in fact you didn't really, they actually had those 2 books you didn't know anything about.
Right, the lady
Right.
during our conversation,
Right.
she selected 2 books for
Right.
me to look to see if I was interested in them.
Right.
So those were the books that I picked up.
Right. So what I equate that to is like an hour, 2 hours, no problem for you at the bookstore. But this is what I said to you. I said, what if I say, "Hey, Mom, I got a race to run. Could you take me to this race?" And you waited out of the parking lot when I was running. Now, I never said whether it was a 5K, half marathon, or full marathon. Each of those take different times and longer distances. I know half marathon, a great pace, 30, 45 minutes. A half marathon, 2 hours. A full marathon, 4+ hours. But the bottom line is, I would have never told you if I took you to something and said, "Mom, take me to this race I gotta run," and I didn't give you the full scope of what was going on, then I will be setting your expectations up incorrectly. And I understand, Mom, this is the thing I want to relate to you. It's been a pleasure with this, understanding how you shop, because how you shop, grocery shopping, you're very knowledgeable on that. And this is just painting a picture on my side. So we actually were able to communicate, but we had some difficulties that evening. So I'm giving the floor back to you, Mom.
We did. It was not a good experience at all.
Right.
I got very upset. I had a headache when we finished. When I came home, I just went and I just rested myself, because I cannot allow myself to get upset and not control it. And the lessons that I learned from the situation is I need to communicate. I have to communicate what I want, where I want to go, how I'm going to do what I'm going to do, because I'm so used to just going on my own. I've been driving since I was 16, and I've been taking myself and doing for myself, and now I'm not driving.
But this is the thing, Mom. In addition to that, it's just moving in an efficient manner. So efficiently, like we talked about that, efficiently. And yes, you're not driving, but it's a comma to that. It's not period on your independence, because they have car services that we're going to utilize. And this is just like we said, on both of our ends is a discussion that we have, and both learning. Because, for example, when and we'll be quite honest with you, so we appreciate you tuning in for this. It's just that, like, when Tanya picks you up, right? When Sister Tanya picks you up, she may arrive, right, outside, and when she arrives and says that she's here, you then want to use the bathroom, right? So then at that point, she may be waiting. And I said, as with my Uber experience, when a driver arrives a timer starts. And what happens is you can get canceled out on if you have them waiting too long and pay a charge. So now is the time where we are putting things in motion, where we have things together and moving in the right direction, because again, this is a comma. This is not the final destination. Just this is a bridge, like of development that we're all going through. This is not a comma. But Mom, go ahead.
So this was a significant lesson, and I just don't think that I'm the only person who lacked communication sometimes to express exactly how it is, what you want, where you want to go, and what you're doing.
Well, you talk to the independence. I think that hits on a great nerve, Mom.
Yeah, that's because I'm so used to doing my own thing, going my own place, not having to communicate with anybody about what I'm doing, where I'm going, how long I'm gonna be, just doing it. It was for me, it was very challenging, that situation, because I felt bad. I felt bad for the whole scheme of things, but I physically felt bad because of where the situation had gone. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I don't believe I'm the only person who has given up some independence. And for me, learning to communicate is difficult, because when I'm just used to going and coming and doing what I want to do and not having to discuss it with other people. And it makes a difference. It really makes a difference.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Mom. But the matter of fact that we can have this discussion right now and know that we can build upon stuff, that it won't be a problem in the future. When I know, like for example, when you finally came home from the skilled nursing facility, I think within a week we went grocery shopping. Now that was my actual official, since I was a child, going grocery shopping with you. And what I notice is when you grocery shop, you like to feel the mood. You like to feel the mood. You feel your way around, and then you shop. And that was kind of a learning experience for me, because I was frustrated because I don't shop like that. And I'm an in and out type of person, but I've come to reflect that is the best way. You know, pricing on Richardson Farm, the greens up there are much cheaper than the ones at Whole Foods. It's just like you have that knowledge, know-how, and I've come to understand that. So you met me halfway. You say, I'm gonna write down a list, right?
Right.
And then we go. And then it's no sweating of time. You know, it's because we're going through the list. And you're able to shop, feel good. So we had a learning experience with Barnes and Nobles. To me, I just didn't want to, it was a timing of just the hour had passed and it wasn't like coming to a conclusion. And with free flowing and time, I know how time can get away from you. And then, but we learned, Mom.
It's important to communicate.
Yep.
It's very important to communicate. Right. And sometimes we have to learn how to communicate. Yes. Yeah, you know, because I'm learning.
So am I.
I'm learning, and I'm sure other people are learning to communicate things that they want to do or things that are going on in their life. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was important to talk about this because it was a real bump.
But we got through it. It was a bump, not a wall.
Right.
So, and again, we like to stress this, Mom, and I've said this to you a couple times, that right now the situation with your transportation is not a period. You have not lost your independence. You will regain it. It's a comma. What's going to happen is it's a sentence with a comma in it. I've done it this way in the past, comma, now I'm going to do something differently, because you will get your independence back.
Yes.
You will, it's so many car services out here that you can utilize, and it's no period when you're never driving again. If that comes to you in the future, you'll have that, but you'll also be able to call on these different car services, utilize it, know, hey, when they show up, I need to go. And you will be moving more efficiently. In the same way, I have understanding of how you shop and have learned that because you've been so independent,
Yes.
But you also, in that independence, I've seen you leave out early in the morning and not come back till late exhausted. So things have to be done a little bit more efficiently, but your independence is not lost. It's just a comma right now, Mom. It's just a comma. And we both are learning, and I am so blessed to be able to talk this through to you, and it not be a period, because we talked through it, and it was a misunderstanding, and I am in my lane. I can get frustrated. I'm learning to work through things and just have patience with things. Just life right now is just about being patient and having discipline and just doing things consistently. But you're evolving, Mom. You've just been out of the hospital since September, and this little bit of time has just like been, going places, but it will evolve. This is just the beginning stages, and you will have your independence back. So, with 21 minutes in, yeah, and this is a great episode. What did you want to close off on, Mom?
I just want to close out saying that communication is extremely important, and I'm so thankful that I have 2 children who take me where I need to go and who have been very patient with me with the things that I have been doing. And I just want to say to those of you who are listening and looking at the podcast, communication is very important, and we take it for granted sometimes that people know what we're thinking, and they don't know what we're thinking if we don't talk about it with them. So I'm learning how to communicate better, and I hope that this podcast will be of interest and simulate communication with you too.
Mom, that's a phenomenal way to end it, and we thank everyone again. Thank you. God bless you. We will be posting this up. We just had a light dusting of snow, first snow of the year, so we're going to post this up. And if you're home, you take a couple days off from work, or just want to listen to this, we're going to post it up very fast, get it to you, and we want to say God bless to each and every one of you.
God bless you and your family.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.